Adoption is both a legal and emotional process. It's the legal transfer of parental rights, but it's also the emotional transfer of parental responsibility from one set of parents to another set of parents. There's much I could tell you about adoption, but let's hear from people who've been touched by the experience of adoption.
Look at your options and don't just think that adoption is a cop-out. It has blessed my life. It has brought a whole nother family into my life that I wouldn't know.
Adoption is love. If you have the right family, if you choose the right things to do, if you go about it the right way, I truly believe adoption is love.
People always ask me, what's the most special event that's ever happened in your life? And I say, even though I can't remember, it's probably being adopted.
I just kind of think that, looking back, that it was what was meant to be.
I would recommend adoption before anything.
Adoption can change families' lives. It allows them to have a child when they were not able to have their own. Adoption also changes the lives of children and brings general happiness to everyone involved. Approximately 120,000 children are adopted in the United States each year. That is 120,000 children who are given a better life and thousands of families who now have a child. There are many types of adoptions: open, closed, international, and interracial. Each type of adoption will have a lasting emotional effect on the children as well as the families. The state of the children, such as age or being orphaned before adoption, can also have an effect on their emotions. In open adoption, the birth parents have some amount of contact with their biological child. As of 1993, 69% of adoptive parents had met their child's birth family. Out of 75 adoptive parents, it was found that 91% were satisfied with contact from their children's birth mothers. Out of 16 birth mothers, 15 were satisfied with contacting their birth children. The study also revealed that the more frequent the contact, the happier the relationship between the two families. Caitlin Lowell and her boyfriend Tyler Baltiero were featured on MTV's show Teen Mom 2. As opposed to their other castmates, they chose to put their daughter Carly up for adoption.
Do you feel good about your decision?
I do feel good about my decision.
Have you ever regretted it?
No.
No.
I mean, because we get pictures and stuff, and we get like little updates, and that's something that's really rewarding for us, because it's like we see how happy she is, and when we visit them, we see the kind of discipline they do to her, and like how awesome they work with her as a family.
Open adoption can be harmful for children because of the close relationship created between birth mother and child. Lack of contact can be a painful experience. Kim and Carl Felder and their adopted son Robbie became close friends with his birth mother Toni. One day she disappeared, leaving Robbie confused and hurt.
Totally closed adoption would be no exchange of any information. Totally open would be an exchange of identifying information such as first names, last names, address, perhaps an email address.
Closed adoption can be positive for birth parents. It gives a sense of closure as well as provides privacy for a sensitive subject. The birth parents can also be negatively affected, experiencing grief, denial, guilt, and abandonment. Adopted children may feel loss and grief because they were not raised by their biological parents. They may also feel abandoned or unwanted because they were given up for adoption. International adoption gives families the opportunity to have children while saving them from bad conditions. Between 1990 and 2002, the amount of international adoptions in the United States nearly doubled. About 3/4 of international adoptees are taken from China, Russia, South Korea, Guatemala, and the Ukraine. However, it is not uncommon for international adoptions to occur from other parts of Asia as well as Africa. Children who are adopted internationally grow to love their adoptive parents the same amount as those who are adopted domestically. Russia has also recently put a ban on all adoptions of Russian children from the United States.
When Russia bans adoptions to the United States, this is who gets caught in the middle: an American mother and a 5.5-year-old orphan with spina bifida named Paulina. A little girl who's already learning to count in English and tells her mommy that she loves her.
I love you too.
Kendra Skaggs and her husband last saw Paulina just a few days ago on a visit to her orphanage outside Moscow. Now, with the love only a mother can feel, she worries what will happen to her daughter.
I can't help her. I can't tell her I love her. So it's really hard.
Now, with no way of contacting her, she wishes she could send her daughter a simple message.
I would tell her that we love her and to be strong and that we're going to do everything we can to come back and get her.
But at the end of their last visit, it was Paulina who was trying to comfort her mother.
I was crying and telling her goodbye, and she said, "Don't cry, Mommy, be strong."
And David, this is the scene that's playing out in literally hundreds of homes across America tonight. Families that thought that they would soon be welcoming home a child and are now wondering if they'll ever get to see that child again.
The Russian adoption issue began with the passage of the Magnitsky Act by the United States. This act forbids Russian officials accused of committing human rights abuses from entering the country. As retaliation for the act, Russia passed the Dmitry Yakovlev Act. This act forbids the adoption of Russian citizens by Americans. As support for the act, Russia cited 19 deaths of adoptees in the United States. While the ban on adoption is more of a political fight, it has greatly affected the families wanting to bring home their children from Russia.
But many black children who are adopted by white parents say there's another side to the story.
I didn't feel like I was seen, understood.
Phil Bertelson was 4 when he was adopted. He and other black adoptees tell a similar tale of feeling estranged, cut off from their own racial identity and culture.
It creates a lonely feeling. Ultimately, I am a part of your family. I use my name with pride. But I am also an African American man in your family. And, you know, you have to see me as that.
Maybe we were naive, Philip.
I found a moment to say what I had always wanted to say.
Which was?
Which was, see me. This is who I am.
Children deserve the right to be with people who look like them, who can understand what they are going through, understand their culture.
At the Spence Chapin Adoption Agency, counselors urge white parents adopting a black child to integrate their lives, even if it means moving to a racially diverse neighborhood.
Only 8% of all adoptions are interracial adoptions. A 1993 study concluded that 75% of transracially adopted children adjusted well to their adoptive homes. It was also found that transracial adoption does not affect self-esteem issues of these children.
When I was 16, I told the court to take me off the adoption list because nobody wants older kids. It wasn't until I was like 17 that I accepted that I was never going to have a real family.
Teetering on the brink of homelessness, Stacy would never guess that her dreams were about to be realized.
I was 19 and I had graduated from high school and I went into the military. And the military gives you leave, you know, every so often. And I would have to go back to the boarding school because I had no place to go. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that I wasn't able to detach from that. They knew I needed to kind of sever the cord and to move forward, but I couldn't because I had no place to go. And so they kind of got together and they were like, look, someone needs to take this girl in. Like, we can't keep letting her stay here. And that's when John and Rachel Stark offered their home to me.
With 4 children of their own and an income already spread thin, the Stark family opened their home and their hearts.
I did feel loved. Like, I did feel like they weren't doing it out of charity, that they actually did care about me. But there's still that feeling of being a burden, and maybe that if you're too much of a burden that they'll say, okay, it's enough, we can't do it anymore. And so I was just, even though God had presented it to me, I was still waiting for the left shoe to drop.
Children who are adopted at an older age can experience a double sense of grief because they will lose the members of their adoptive family, as well as the birth family that they had an interaction with early in life. When I was born, I was adopted by the people that I now call my parents. My adoption was a positive experience. According to studies, my story is uncommon. I am happy and have no desire to have any contact with my birth family. I consider my parents to be the people that raised me. I understand that the reason that I was put up for adoption was because my birth parents wanted to give me a better life that they could not give me.